2019 City Council meeting. And the first order of business would be the roll call.
Bartlett.
Here.
Hirsch.
Here.
Riley.
Here.
Boersma.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Reeves.
Here.
Mayeski.
Here.
Caravello.
Here.
Jensen.
Here.
O'Connor.
Here.
Rancic.
Here.
There are 11 alders present.
Thank you, Holly. And the next item would be any communications. Any communications? Director Shield.
Just for an update on the Public Works facility, I think you'll be happy to know that we intend to start operations out there on Monday, office operations.
Wow.
So they'll start migrating their equipment out there over the next month or so. But it's moving along, obviously coming to closure, but the project has gone pretty well. We got a few list items to take care of, but overall, I think you'll be pleased with the facility. We anticipate having an open house for the community in the spring after we've been in it a short period of time and can get oriented to the space, and the weather is more conducive to that. So in the spring, watch for that. There's one other piece of information I think it's worth highlighting, and the council members are already aware of this. The 2019 street projects, we have an open house next week, Thursday, in the fire department training room. So the public's welcome to attend that, but there is direct mailings that went out to all properties adjacent to the areas under construction. Just for the community at large, those include reconstructing Lowell, the entire length of Lowell Street, Monroe Street from Lowell Street all the way to Patterson, the full length of Patterson Street, and then a major pulverization project on Jackson Street from Van Buren to Kings Lynn, and another pulverization project from on Lincoln from Jackson Street to approximately Eisenhower. We're having specific communications and a meeting with the school district to discuss that project at the end of this week, so we can coordinate with their schedule and make them understand or work with us on things that we need to understand about their schedule for that project in their neighborhood. Thank you.
Rodney, can you restate the date and time
Sure.
and where?
Sorry. Next Thursday, and I'm sorry, I think that's the
January 7th.
17th. I believe we actually have it for 6 o'clock. But if anybody has any questions, they can call and talk to
At
me.
the fire station?
Fire department training room. We sent out the public notice or invitation, I believe, to all the council members directly as well.
Thank you. Are there any other communications? I have a couple. First of all, I'd like to thank all those that participated in the Christmas Day meal at the VFW. There was many volunteers out there, and they ended up serving over 400 people. I was able to help with that. It was an awesome event. It brought together a lot of people in the community for a nice meal, and you know, a lot of people sharing stories, and it was really a nice thing to see the people come together on Christmas Day. So thanks to those that participated in that. And another thing I wanted to mention, I don't remember if I said this the last time, but the Senior Center was awarded national accreditation for, they've had this process for many years now, and they once again went through that, and they're working on state accreditation as well. And then they have a plan that they'll implement some of the goals and objectives that came out of that process. And I think that's a pretty big deal. Those folks that serve on the Commission on Aging had a lot to do with the successful getting through that process. So congratulations to them as well. Does anybody else have any communications? Go ahead.
I guess I'd like to thank Nicole Wiesinger for her time spent on City Council and wish her well with everything.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead,
I
Sid.
would like to just add to that, Nicole was the vice chair or the co-chair of the ad hoc committee that's dealing with the schools and the city council, looking at the issue of young families moving into or staying in Stoughton. And so she served very well on that committee, and I'll miss her on that committee. But she's off to bigger and better things.
Okay, Anybody else have any communications? Seeing none, the next item, there's no presentation, so the next item would be public comment. And so far, nobody is signed up for public comment, but if anybody would like to approach the council, now would be the time to do it. Anybody interested? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
So moved.
There's a motion.
Second.
And I heard a second over by Boersma. Would anybody like anything removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed, that carries. Thank you.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
Can we move items number 8 and 14 together, as they're both possibly in closed session, and so we don't have to go in and out, in and out? But,
Yeah, there's actually 3 of them, because
right,
item 15.
right.
So
that
we
one
can do
too.
that if you'd like. Is everyone okay with that? All right. I think most of this other stuff we'll get through quickly.
Maybe move 8 down to,
Okay. All right. So that'll take us to new business, and R2 of 2019 comes from the Planning Commission, which would be Alderperson Bartlett.
From Planning Commission Resolution 2 of 2019, approving an extraterritorial jurisdictional land division request by D and J Almy Partnership for property located at 2394 Leslie Road, Town of Dunkirk, Dane County, Wisconsin. And Planning Commission recommended approval 4-0. And move to
Second.
approve.
There's a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion on this one? These are pretty common. Basically, the extraterritorial land is a mile and a half radius of the city, and anything that is built in those areas, it comes through here as well as the township. On this particular one, was there anything to highlight, Rodney?
No, it's really on the edge of our boundary even. It's very, very far out. It's not within our future land use planned at all at this point.
Okay. Any questions or comments on this one? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed, that carries. Thank you. Ordinance number 1 of 2019 is a first reading from the Planning Commission. Alderperson Bartlett.
Ordinance 1 of 2019, amending ordinance section 2-376, the Stoughton Municipal Administration Ordinance. Planning Commission recommended approval 14-0 on December 10th. This is the first reading.
Does anybody have any questions on this now? Otherwise, it'll be back in 2 weeks. Basically, what we're doing is Rodney and his staff are going through some of our ordinances that relate to the Planning Commission, and we're just cleaning up some language in some of these ordinances. We have quite a list to go through, and we're just going to chip away at them until we can get them all done, and we're starting off with what we consider some of the low-hanging fruit. Alderperson
When I
Boersma.
read the agenda today, I wondered about the 14-0. I didn't think there were 14 people on this committee.
Yeah.
It was well attended then.
So could that be changed then? Just so it reflects how many people actually did vote on it? Because I noticed that Matt did say that 14 people did vote on it. So.
Can't get anything past you,
How
can we, Sid?
many people voted on it?
4.
Four.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So that would take us to item number 7, which is R3 of 2019. And this one is a request to extend a conditional use permit for, basically it's for the hotel. And maybe Rodney, you want to give us a little more history on that, or?
I think the request is pretty straightforward. You have the materials in your packet. Based on what's been included in your packet, it's exciting to hear that this is likely to move forward in the second quarter of 2019 and get underway. So I think that's good news, and this is an allowable opportunity to extend the conditional use if we so desire.
So I guess I would either ask questions or entertain a motion for approval. Go ahead.
I have a question. Back when they came for the first conditional use, had they said that they were not going to build the conference center or convention center at that time? Has that changed, or is that is it still only going to be the hotel at the convention center some nebulous time in the future?
That's how I understand it.
Alderperson Dransick.
Yeah, I understand that this was delayed because of financing, and that we were told now that the financing is secured. And has anybody checked to make sure that that is true?
Representatives here tonight. Dennis is here, you can ask.
Did you want to come up and speak to this, or basically, we're trying to find out where you're at with the financing on this one. We're hoping that you'll be able to meet the second quarter commitment that you outlined.
So are we. So it's been a long time coming, but the financing is secured. We've got draft agreements that we're reviewing right now. We don't see any obstacles there. So the plan would be to close on the land somewhere around March of 2019, building construction starting May of 2019, and the hotel opening about April of 2020.
Okay.
Are there any
Thank
further
you.
questions?
Well, Dennis is up there. Is there any other news about when the convention center will be built and opened?
Not really. I know they're still looking to team with an operator there, and just basically that's one issue. The other one was Hilton actually wanted the hotel to get into operation for a year or two and see how that was functioning, and therefore, besides the operator and the need for that convention center and what Hilton wants, we're going to have to wait for a little bit.
Any further questions? Otherwise, we'd look for a motion to extend the conditional use permit.
So moved.
Second.
Who's first?
She could do
Okay.
it, and I'll second.
Okay, is that all right? I had a motion by Dransick and a second by Boersma. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
One opposed. That carries. Thank you. All right, so we're gonna skip 8, I guess. We'll go to 9. R5 of 2019 comes from the Finance Committee.
Yes, the Finance Committee met this evening and recommends approval of R5 2019, authorizing and directing the proper city officials to amend the 2019 through 2023 City of Stoughton CIP budget, moving the purchase of a $250,000 high-efficiency street sweeper from 2021 to 2020 to remain eligible for $54,464 in grant funding, and I so move.
Second.
And a second by Jensen. Go ahead, Alderperson Dransick.
Yes, in order to be eligible for the grant funding, we have to show that the purchase of this high-efficiency street sweeper will be in our 2020 CIP budget. So that's why it has to be done, and it has to be done now because we didn't have a meeting in the end of December, and Rodney needs to fill out the paperwork in a very short period of time. So we recommend approval so that we can get the grant funding.
Okay. Alderperson
Is
Boersma.
that a question of the finance director, whether or not there will be any problem coming up with the funds for this as this earlier period?
It shouldn't be. It's something we'll look into, but the overall impact of this, if you factor in the $55,000 or so in grant funding, we're estimating approximately $30,000 in salvage value. The plan is for stormwater rates to fund this fully. As we go through the budget process for 2020, there may be some borrowing involved, but it'd be minimal.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed, that carries. Item number 10 is R6 of 2019. This also comes from the Finance Committee.
Yes, the Finance Committee met on December 11th and recommends approval of R6 2019, formally adopting the Wisconsin DOT's Procurement and Contract Administration Manual and Vehicle Disposition Guidelines as they relate to Stoughton Trailer, and I so move.
Second.
Stoughton Transit. Stoughton Transit, not Stoughton Trailer. Right.
Stoughton Transit, I'm sorry.
Okay, and there's a second by Alderperson Reeves?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Alderperson Drancic.
Yes, since state grant funding funds Stoughton Transit, they have to abide by the Wisconsin DOT Procurement and Contract Administration Manual, and so we basically have to approve that.
Okay. Anything you want to add, Jamin?
No, we're just formalizing the fact that we're adopting this policy. We are following it through the transit program as is, but we just wanted to get it documented that we approved it.
Okay. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed, that carries. Item 11 is discussion and possible action regarding the aldermanic seat vacancy in District 4 due to the resignation of Nicole Wiesinger. And usually your attorney Dragney kind of walks us through this. There's a document in the packet that he forwarded to Holly, kind of outlines the timetable and what our options are. Are you prepared to do that?
I am somewhat prepared to do that. I haven't looked at my schedule in advance of tonight's meeting, but here's the general lay of the land. So, when does Alder Wiesinger's term expire? When would it have expired?
2021.
2021. So, okay, we're early on the process.
We are.
So, I think the council's practice has been to fill vacancies, and the only question we need to look at is whether you can fill it for the remainder of that term, or whether we're going to have to allow for an opportunity of a special election prior to the expiration of that term. And I don't have, I can't
It's
get
right
the
here.
diagram in front of me. Oh, you got it? Oh, let's take a look.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think what we've done in the past is we filled the term, and then the next April election, which would be 2020, is when this person would run.
Yeah, but then they would have to run 2 years in a row.
Yes, well, guess what? That's what ends up happening.
And that's basically the situation that Alderperson Riley is in.
Riley is in, yeah.
How does that feel to be in that position?
It's beautiful.
And I was in that position too
Were you?
when I was first on the council, like 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I ran in April, and then I had to run the next April, so.
Or wait,
So is that your motion?
yes.
Is it?
Yes. So,
He's gonna,
I think looking at the chart, my reading of it, it's a little complicated, but I believe that we need to have the special election in April of 2020.
which is consistent with
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the question then would be, do we want to appoint somebody now,
So serve until then, or wait?
serve until then? We could have a special meeting, which really doesn't make, or a special election, which doesn't make sense, because it takes money to do that. Or, or we could, wait, I guess, is the other one, but
You can either wait until someone is elected at a special election in April of 2020 to serve for one more year, and then have another run. You could appoint someone now to serve until that special election in April of 2020. The other possibility would be a special election in November of 2019, but since you don't have one, I mean, that's not a regular election cycle.
Holly's shaking her head, no, we
Doesn't
don't
like
want to do that.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
it'd be-
I move that we appoint someone to fill the seat, the 4th District seat, which has been vacated, and to have a special election in April of 2020.
Second?
All right, a second by Alderperson O'Connor. Did you want to elaborate on that, Denise, or we've got this, right?
No, I just, as I stated, this is what we've done in the past,
Okay.
and we need to fill the seat.
Yep, okay, and then we'll talk about a timeline, or if Alderperson O'Connor has some
Well, that's
questions.
going to be my only question, was the timeline, and also doing what we used to done in the past of having an interview here after a couple of weeks advertising, and that
That's
process.
typically what we do. Is that what you guys would like to do?
I think it is, don't you have to advertise it twice?
Yeah, we typically advertise it in the local paper for two weeks, and then we would interview, which would probably take us sometime in February, I would imagine. Which you're gonna be gone, right?
Yes. I'll be out of here.
Okay. So hopefully we can do it the first meeting in February. If it works out, the clerk's gonna be absent for the second meeting, but the deputy clerk will be here. But regardless, we'll figure it out and get it done. The main thing we're looking for tonight was direction. I'm hearing some, we want to get it posted, we want to fill it. Did you have a question, Alderperson Borzak?
Alderperson O'Connor just addressed it, and that is that, my understanding is that we advertise it, especially in probably the Courier Hub, and then, and give it a couple weeks, and then the person has to go in and fill out some papers and kind of do a resume, and then we take it up at council and have a vote that same evening. That's my understanding is how it's going to work, so.
Okay. Is that everybody in agreement with that?
Yep.
All right, any questions or comments? We do have a motion, so all in favor of the motion? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed, that carries. That brings us to R7 of 2019, and I'm looking for confirmation to appoint Alderperson Bartlett to the Utilities Committee.
So moved.
Second.
All right, second by, was it Jensen? And I already spoke to Alderperson Bartlett, and he's been kind enough to volunteer to do that. That was one of Nicole's committee assignments. And Matt served on utilities last year, so he's pretty up to date on where we're at. And he actually sat in on the meeting the other night, so that was nice of him to do that. Any questions or comments for that?
Thank you, Matt, for doing it.
Alderperson Borzak?
Wholeheartedly think that Matt would be a great person on the Utilities Committee, and it's not just because he's sitting next to me.
Okay, and we still have another vacant committee, I believe, that Nicole was on.
Park and Recs.
She's on Park and Rec, and she was on CACP. We're not sure if we're gonna have a CACP meeting next month, because I think there was something going on, wasn't there?
No, it's April, I think.
April, okay, so there's only one more CACP meeting, two more. We have to decide if you want me to fill them, we can talk offline. I don't know if it pays or not. Chances are the appointee will probably take them 2 slots.
And I mentioned it in public comment period, but Nicole was the co-chair of the ad hoc committee, and we'll need to get that one filled fairly quickly because we're moving forward pretty
I think
quickly.
President Majewski is going to address that one. So if you have any thoughts about Park and Rec, let me know. And because we have to have 3 out of 4 alders at the standing committees to have a quorum. So if anybody anticipates missing either CACP or Park and Rec in the next couple months, let us know, and we'll see if we want to appoint somebody at the next council meeting.
Well, if we have somebody in place in February, you'll really be only looking for one meeting, right?
Right. So
I think you can probably just let it go.
that's what I was thinking, but I don't want the committee to not be able to do their work. So you guys can let me know. The chairs can touch bases with me offline on that. Otherwise, we do have a motion for Matt's confirmation. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed? That carries. Okay, so now we're at a stage where we have 3 items left on the agenda, and they all have the potential to go into closed session.
What about R8?
Did I skip one?
It's really not. Item 13.
Oh, item 13? Yep. We were gonna talk about that one with the other one in closed session.
Oh, okay.
They're kind of hand in hand.
So we're doing 8, 13, 14, and 15?
R8 doesn't actually exist. I had it on the agenda when we were going to do a resolution for it. I forgot to take it off the agenda, so there actually isn't an R8.
Okay.
So I would, so
I don't think we need.
typically when we have this go into closed session, we have the narrative under that. And if it's not going to be it's not going to be in closed session, then I would move that we strike it from today's agenda.
Yeah, so R8 is not on the agenda. And then what we're gonna do is we have, like I said, 3 items for closed session. And then we can, do we have to have separate motions to go into close and reopen?
You
Or
could do one motion that covers all 3 items, go into closed session, discuss those 3 items, and then reconvene and take action. But maybe you want to decide if there's something you don't think you need to go into closed session for, and you want to just do it and open and get it out of the way before you go into closed, you could do that too.
does anybody have any suggestions? Go ahead.
I think all 3 need to be in closed session because we're talking about a hiring with a sensitive issue and some financial negotiation that all should be in closed session.
Anybody else disagree or agree, or people are nodding their heads?
I agree.
Okay, so we'll need, which motion would we use, because the language is slightly different?
Yeah, let me help you out. So
Okay.
I think the motion would be to convene in closed session pursuant to 19851E and C.
And see.
To consider the potential lease between the City of Stoughton and McFarland State Bank, potential real estate purchase and sale agreement between the city and Junction 138 LLC, and to consider the approval of the hiring and appointment and compensation for a City of Stoughton Utilities Director.
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, I heard Alderperson Jensen.
Second.
Second by Majewski. All right, any discussion on that?
Councilperson Matt.
And so when we go into closed session, we have to have a roll call vote. And then I don't know if we're gonna open, at what point we'll open up to take a vote. So I don't know if you guys wanna hang out or not. I guess that's up to you guys. We can try to give you an update if you're sitting out in the hallway. It's about the best I can tell you. I don't know where this is all gonna go. Otherwise, we'll take a roll call vote.
Hirsch,
Aye.
Riley,
Aye.
Boersma,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reeves,
Aye.
Majewski,
Aye.
Caravello,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
O'Connor,
Aye.
Jorancic,
Aye.
Bartlett.
Aye.
Okay, we're in closed session. It'll just take a few minutes and then we'll reopen. Okay, so we are back in open session, and the first item for consideration was R4 2019, and that came out of the Personnel Committee. Alderperson Reeves?
Thank you. The Personnel Committee met last evening and recommends approval of Resolution 4-2019, authorizing and directing the proper city officials to approve the appointment and hiring of the City of Stoughton Utilities Director Jill Weiss, pending or subject to background check, salaried at $127,150.40, an increase to $130,145.60 to occur on January 1st, 2020. $130,145.60 will be adjusted by the market increase percent if approved by council, and I so move.
Second.
A second by Alderperson Hirsch. Is there any discussion on this item?
Was a condition, I didn't hear if the conditions were included on that?
Yes.
Subject to
Okay.
background
Yep.
check.
Thank you.
All right. Any,
And the change in the language for the salary in the last.
Yeah,
Yep.
we took that out.
and we'll double check with Holly that we'll have it. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Thank you, that carries. The next one will be item 14, which is actually R8 of 2019, and that's coming from the Finance Committee.
Yeah, the Finance Committee met this evening and recommends approving R8 2019, approving the drive-through lease between the City of Stoughton and McFarland State Bank at the real property located at 207 South 4th Street and 216 East Main Street, and I so move.
Second.
And a second by O'Connor. Any discussion on this one?
I just want to confirm that we'll need to correct the Exhibit C, I believe, the first month rent being 0.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No.
There's 2 opposed, that carries.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome. All right, and that takes us to item 15, which is R9 of 2019, and that also comes from the Finance Committee.
Yes. Finance Committee met on November 27th and recommends approval of R9 2019, approving the real estate purchase and sale agreement by and between Junction 138 LLC and the City of Stoughton, Wisconsin, for the property located at 3201 Macomb Road, and I so move.
Second.
I heard a second by Alderperson Jensen. Any discussion on this one? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
No.
Okay, so I heard 1 aye and the rest were noes. Is that correct?
10 no's.
10 noes? Okay, so that motion does fail. I think
Move
that's
to
all we
adjourn.
have. We have a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
And a second by Caravello. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed? Thank you.